So, thanks all for coming along. Just like to give you a quick background about who we are and what we do, and why the CTD program has been good for Tectonica. Our customers are defence and security. We're really only a defence company, and we work in the area of vehicles, armoured vehicles and up-armoured vehicles, white fleet and transport vehicles, and with security officers, soldiers, policemen, government agencies, and deployable systems. We'll talk a bit about specialist shelters. And then we offer solutions in the area of protected navigation, C4 IEW systems, portable power and crew survivability. And we're basically an end-to-end engineering organisation. We are very much engineers, but we have to work in the defence environment. You need a range of skills, so project management, systems design and integration. We do some manufacture and assembly, but through life support, and we do distribute some overseas companies' products. In terms of systems integration, that's really our main area. It is for many defence SMEs. So systems engineering is critical to how we run our business. User needs analysis and requirements, V&V plans, engineering design, mechanical, electrical, and software engineering. And so this is our headline project at the moment. It's the GPS redundancy system that is being procured under JP 5408. So that is one of the DCP programs. This is the guts of the system, the Honeywell Inertial Navigation System. It provides a navigation solution when GPS is jammed or spoofed or masked by terrain. This is a vehicle motion sensor, so it takes an odometer feed and GPS. So they're the main things that have been procured by Defence, and we're providing integration services. So this is our display, and then all the cables and brackets and things are mounted in the vehicle. So there's a commander's display and a driver's display, and then there's a little numeric keypad here that makes it quick and easy to enter waypoints. So that this system will give you a navigation feed when your GPS goes down. So the other areas we work in are in portable power. I'd just like to talk about our first CTD contract. Was back in 2004. We called it the personal generator system, and we thought that it would be possible to demonstrate a 25 watt generator which was driven from a combustion engine that ran on a heavy fuel, diesel. So there's a push towards a single fuel on the battlefield. No one wants to be carrying petrol around in armoured vehicles. So JP8 or automotive distillate, and it was to power an individual soldier for 72 hours, and the target was to do it at a weight of 1 kilogram. We didn't get there. I think that's an example of how these are high-risk things. I think everyone in Defence recognised that it was a high-risk project. But we did develop a very high efficiency generator. That was electronics. We got some consultants who said we couldn't do what we did. We did demonstrate the world's smallest compression ignition direct injection heavy fuel engine, and we proved the concept at a weight of about 2.5 kilograms in May 2008. Our second CTD contract was in 2006, which was to put a power management network into the load carriage equipment, into the dismounted close combatants load carriage equipment. And it was for the in-service LCE, and to distribute power from a central power source and power all the soldiers' electronic devices. Now this was, Defence was looking a long way ahead at the time, because soldiers typically weren't carrying very many devices at that time. They didn't need a lot of power, but they could see that that was the way of the world that they would be, and that soldiers overseas were starting to carry a lot of heavy and power-hungry devices. When we were developing the generator, we realised that if we were successful, or when fuel cells were more successful, you'd actually have to do something with the power that you generated. So that was, you weren't going to be recharging AA batteries and swapping them in and out of your charger and in and out of your devices. So he said we needed a power management network, and there was nothing particularly unique about that from a world point of view, because there are a number of soldier modernisation programs that do this. But what Australia had needed was someone who could integrate existing or legacy devices into a system that used a central power management system. So Defence saw merit in that, and we completed that successfully in late 2008. And we think there's potential for that to have quite immediate benefits. Just a little as a side, we're a company that likes to partner with other organisations. In this case, we've formed a partnership with CSIRO to develop a deployable oxygen generator. So it uses ceramic membrane technology that comes out of the CSIRO group in Clayton, and the system requires only air and electrical power. And we demonstrated that successfully about 18 months ago, and it was a device about the size of a bar fridge that would produce 2.7 litres of oxygen a minute, which is just about enough to provide oxygen to a patient on an operating table. And it had application in this case in Navy and their mine hunters, in Army for field hospitals, and Air Force to produce certified pure oxygen for fast jets that needed bottled oxygen. And the advantage of having one of these devices is that you don't need to transport bottled oxygen around the battlefield, which is a big logistic overhead. So that's sitting waiting for further funding to develop to a higher TRL. We're on our fourth CTD at the moment, which is the Soldier Integrated Power System, and in this case we're working in partnership with ANU and CSIRO. CSIRO is providing e-textile technology, which is basically running cables inside fabrics, and they can weave conductive textiles. And ANU is providing the advanced solar cells, which are the ones that Alan spoke about a moment ago, which are the very thin, flexible solar cells. And so this is an integrated power system. As prime contractor, we're doing the contract work with Defence, so we're responsible for providing all the documentation and systems integration so that we can demonstrate an integrated device. And the idea is here to deliver a high TRL system that can be procured for deployment. So that's sort of who we are and where we've come from and what CTD programs we've worked on. I guess this is, if you haven't been engaged with the CTD program before, this would be my suggestion. The first thing is to engage with the environment working groups. We're particularly in the land space, so we go to Lug, which was on yesterday, and I know a lot of you were there. Ideally, look for solutions that address needs across the services. If you can do something which has interest in the case of, say, Army and Navy, then you've got a better chance than if you're just one service, because the CTDs, they pretty much distribute them, I think, fairly evenly between the services by and large. So if you're only putting it in, if it's only interested to Army, you're going to use up one of Army's votes effectively on the CTD program. Engage the desk officers. Now, typically in CDG, Capability Development Group, they will talk to you. They're looking fairly long way ahead. They'll talk about where the needs are, where the emerging requirements are, and help you develop your ideas. The guys who are actually under contract or working in the DMO are less likely to be helpful in that regard, because they've got a contractor and they'll tell you to go and talk to the Prime. Now, you by all means go and talk to the Prime, but this is early stage work, so DSTO and CDG are perhaps, maybe Army headquarters are good places to go and engage with your potential customer. In terms of the proposals and contracts, follow the template, of course. Get legal advice to understand the IP issues. They can be fairly complicated, especially when you work in partnership with another organisation like CSIRO or ANU. You will be asked to make a contribution in kind, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And there is funding available, as Alan said, for your detailed proposal. Project viability funding, if you're down selected, between the time you're down selected and the time you actually get under contract, there are some funding avenues available there to help you keep the technical staff on board, and then there's concept definition funding. So what are the benefits of doing a CTD project? As I said, Defence asks that companies make a contribution to the project. So we do our projects at fully recovered cost, so we're not making a loss, but we're not making a profit. And the CTD project office does offer very generous IP arrangements, and this is we've done them under DMO and under DSTO, under the CTD project office. Generally, the company doing the work is allowed to own the foreground IP, so that means they can take it and commercialise it. You are asked to grant a licence to Defence to use all background and foreground IP for defence purposes. They can be very, very wide, but in my experience, I haven't seen Defence run off and try and commercialise anyone else's IP. That's not what they're about. The contracts are based on complex procurement, but they're very much simplified. They're much easier to work with. And the advantage of doing this work, and it's certainly where we got to start, is it gets you to learn about defence procurement processes. And it's very hard to get access to that experience in other ways, unless you're coming out of a defence background. But none of us at Tectonica did when we were starting. And the conditions are very much less onerous. They're not looking for liquidated damages or indemnities or onerous IP conditions. And although we have been caught in the sandwich in the IP, it can be a bit of a fiddle. It certainly provides an avenue for non-defence companies to engage with Defence, and we certainly couldn't have got to where we are without the CTD program. It gave us our first start, and it gives you a reason to engage with the user representatives like Army Headquarters, CDG, and the DMO. And if you're interested in working Defence, and I guess we wouldn't be here if we weren't, you need to understand your customer to be able to offer them solutions, and this is a great program to help you do that. Thank you very much.